Welcome to the Phantom Zone.
In this week's episodes, first is Jinx. Chloe goes undercover in Smallville High underground gambling ring, led by Euro-trash Mxyzptlk. And Clark plays some football. In the second episode is Spell. It's Charm, but with Lana, Lois, and Chloe. We learn magic hurts Clark, and Lana's a virgin. This is the Smallville Chronicles. Well, hello again. I'm Lee Gonzalez, joined as always by Alan Muir.
What are you talking about, Lou? This is completely spontaneous.
Yes, my computer just did not crash after I finished that the first time. So, like I was trying to say last time, this is the down part of the season. So, we had 2 awesome episodes last week, and now we have two of, Jinx is fine. Spell is maybe one of the worst episodes ever.
We got something in this episode that will be a major factor in season 5 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the how the episode ends with Lex and Euro-trash.
Yes.
Or as I called him, Eurotrip guy.
Oh yeah, it's he is the cliche 2000s film version of European random Eastern.
I like the bottom jeans in the USA.
Exactly. I have a random Eastern European Slavic accent, but I am from made up country. I am from Kazakhstan, or it's just it is not great. I do think the Jinx episode is fine. It's a terrible use of a character from the comic books because he's besides the name, nothing like the character.
I mean, I preferred. There's an article called, or not an article, it's a video, the top 10 list of top so and so, top blank characters. Or the Arrowverse did better than Smallville, and he was on the list.
Oh yeah, well, because in the Arrowverse, it's the Supergirl Flash musical crossover, which is awesome.
No, that's not him. You're thinking of Mxyzptlk.
Oh, that is Mxyzptlk. Oh no, it's is it season 1 or season 2? I think it's season 2 he shows up, right?
Season 2 because Monel is there.
Oh god, I forgot about Monel. Yeah, he's in love with Supergirl. I'm trying to remember if Lois and Clark ever used him. I feel like they did, and I feel like it was what's-his-name that played the Sicilian in Princess Bride.
Who played Sicilian?
It's the little tiny guy. He's not, he's in everything from the 80s and 90s.
He was, he actually has the character has a tie-in to a character from the show. Sort of.
Oh my god, do you know who... Are you looking at who played Mr. Mxyzptlk?
In,
Lois and Clark?
Oh my god. Howie Mandel himself.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so... that is not at all what I was thinking. So basically, this version is nothing near. So the real comic version is Mr. Mxyzptlk.
He's from the 5th dimension.
Yes, he's a 5th dimensional imp, which the 5th dimension is imagination. The other famous imps is probably only Batmite is the only other one that's famous.
I know nothing about Batmite.
Yeah,
all I know about him is that he had a very misleading DC New 52 series.
Yeah, Batmite is basically um, Batman's best friend. He was like one of those like Mxyzptlks. They were like those like weird '50s kind of goofy characters. They're basically
during the Golden Age.
yeah. So they're basically Batmite's kind of more in the funny vein that I'm trying to remember the character from the Flintstones that they did. That was the alien.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
I don't know, but
the Great Something.
the Great Kazoo.
Yes.
Yes, they're kind of similar in that way where no one can see them really. Batmite, no one really can see him but Batman for the most part. But Mxyzptlk is like more of a villain, but he's much more like mischievous than he is like a antagonist. Like he's antagonist, like mischievous antagonist. That's hard to say. Than being like a straight bad guy. And in the comics,
Mxyzptlk was supposed to be in Superman 3.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right.
He was going to be played by Dudley Moore.
That would have not been terrible casting. That movie is terrible because that's the Richard Pryor one, right?
Yeah, he was like Ilya Salkind, like before. I think that was the last one that he and his father were involved in.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be. And again, everybody has a different pronunciation of the word. So, like I've always said Mxyzptlk, but you said Mr. Ptolix, which I think there's no really
like universal way to say it.
Yeah, because it's Mxtyzptik.
Yeah.
Which the spelling is very important because how you defeat him in the comics is getting him to do something with his name backwards. Or I think it's like say his name or say it backwards.
No. He has to say his name backwards.
Yeah.
I know this. The only reason I know this is from the
Superman cartoon?
No, from Family Guy. When Peter was on Jeopardy, he's no.
Is his answer? Is his answer the name backwards?
Yeah, and turns out that Alex Trebek was from the dimension.
Yeah, because I remember in the old cartoon.
Oh no, it wasn't Peter. It was Adam West.
Yeah, in the old cartoon, he got him to like air write his name backwards, and that's how he defeated him. Like Skywrite, by having him chase Superman around. But in this, we get a completely different version of the character. Besides the name, he has nothing really to do. I guess like magicalness, but like that's very vague in this. Because he's one of the few people that we meet, kind of like we did with Bart, who has powers not at all related to meteor rocks whatsoever. So basically, we see the football game. It's the state champion. Whoever wins is going to go to the state championship. It's the Crows, and Jason sends in Clark. Chloe meets up with Mikhail Mxyzptlk. Oh my god!
Just call him Euro-trash.
Yeah, she meets up with Euro-trash in the deserted field house and puts $80 on Smallville to win. And Mikhail is like, "Okay, I'll take your wager."
Even though you'd have no idea what you're doing, and clearly a narc.
Yeah, and it's that, and then I think he says something like, "Oh, but they're like super underdogs," or like something like that. Like, it's something he makes some goofy comment,
and she says, "I never bet on Clark Kent, or I'll never bet against."
Yeah. So they both go to the game. The Crows are on defense. Mikhail says something, and one of the Crows players drops.
He says fumble, and then Clark picks up the ball. He says trip. Clark trips, and
he kind of stumbles, but he
stumbles and
he wrecks a dude. Yeah, like he kind of stumbles,
and he just runs the guy over.
Yeah, if you ever played Madden, he hit sticks the crap out of someone to like regain his balance. The guy basically is like, it looks like he's dead on the ground, and then Clark scores the touchdown.
And I love that everyone in the stands, they're like, but you see even more of that in when like they don't even say anything, but just when you see Jonathan and Martha get up,
Yeah, because this whole episode is Jonathan being pissy.
Yeah, and dealing with I just love and you should be mad at him, but it's hard to get mad at him like in this episode.
Yeah, well,
And
he's a right in everything he says, but he's just like a dick about it. But in like a very like, I'm trying to find the word, like a very. And this is like one of the most like father sons episodes, like when it comes to their relationship. When it's like, oh, you did it, like why can't I? Like it's like very much that.
Yeah,
like Jonathan's overprotectiveness.
Yeah, and how Martha is the one who's like sort of supporting Clark.
Yeah. But basically, like everyone's
also, this is a very Me Too episode.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes this and the next one too.
Yeah.
So Clark is kind of like looking on, like kind of horrified, and basically Clark goes to see the guy in the hospital, and Jason's like, yeah, you shattered his collarbone, but he'll be fine. Which, if you don't know anything about injury, like your collarbone is very easily broken. I've seen like 3 or 4 people break them in like playing pickup games of football. Like, it's a very soft, it's like in your chest, where like your shoulder kind of connects to like your chest plate, I guess. So it's very easy to like break that. But like,
then we get, but then Jason asks or tells Clark what he suspects he's on. He's on that. Who is it, Coach Quigley?
Yes, Coach Quigley, and he's just.
He thinks that Clark is on performance-enhancing drugs.
Yeah,
so great.
Yeah, he's like, he's basically like, are you juicing? Because you just like, as you're tripping, you wrecked a dude that outweighs you by 100 pounds, which there's no way. Because no matter what you say, Tom Welling's like 200 something pounds in the show. So that dude's 300 pounds, like playing like safety? Like, no way. Okay, so he's bullshitting there. So maybe the guy outweighs him by like 40 pounds. And he's just like, you're going to have to take some sort of test if you want to, keep your college football career going. Then we get like this weird, it's kind of shoehorned into the plot, but it's actually the thing that's the most important of this whole episode, which Lex meets up with Mikhail, Euro-trash. And it's basically like, oh, I guess he's from he's from a real region, but they don't ever say the country. So he's in the Balkans, which is a region. And he's basically like, yeah, so my dad gave you a scholarship. And why did he?
Yeah, it's like he doesn't see what what Lionel saw in him until the very end of the episode.
Yeah, he's just like basically like nothing of anything says they should be like getting the scholarship, so I'm going to pull it. And then Mikhail does like, what does he actually do? He like says something. He like makes like make him drop something. I'm trying to remember. I know you just watched it today, so. But he kind of like hints that like, oh, like what he brought me over here is not going to show up on a report card, and then kind of just leaves. So
he tries to use swagger.
Yeah. So then we get Euro-trash goes to the Torch and talks to Chloe, gives her money, and she's like, well, actually, my bet wasn't like I didn't really care, but I was really trying to get an in on like some, like this betting ring that's going on. And I would really love to talk to you and like get an exclusive because like I'm sure you're just like the beginning of like this kind of. Because I think she's not actually going for the Smallville thing. She's going for like she's trying to use him as an in to get into like the Metropolis stuff. It's
not necessarily like she reveals that it was part of an investigation. He comes in and says that you're I'm blanking on the word. She's the the something whistleblower.
Oh yes, yeah. That she's like a whistleblower is kind of the right word. Yeah, and then he's just like, yeah, if you keep my name out of it, like I don't really care. And I'll get you because I feel like I don't remember if they actually imply it, but he wants to kind of use her to get rid of like his competition and like the gambling. is kind of what I thought about it, but then that doesn't make any sense later on. But
yeah,
but that's what it definitely comes off like. He's trying to use her because there's really no reason for him to
help her.
Involved. Yeah, except for that idea, which then they never re-enter ever again.
Yeah, because the next scene, or the next stuff is, well,
Chloe gets Chloe'd.
Yeah,
but yeah, and he's also like, but I also need you to make a bet on the Sharks game or something like that, and so she does. Then we go to the barn, and Jonathan's like, you really hurt that other guy, and Clark's like,
he's like, all right, and he says that he talks about how when he's playing football, everything goes away. Everything with Jarrell, everything with Lex, everything. And he mentions about how he tripped. And he mentions and says, "When have you ever seen me trip?" Saying that there's something else. There's something else going on causing the whole thing.
And Jonathan has doesn't want to hear it. It's basically like, there's more to life than football, and it's like, I'm going to tell the coach that you're quitting after the victory party. And Clark is like, no, it's my responsibility.
And Clark, and we at the party, everyone's like, Clark he's talking to Jason, and then some random player comes up to Clark and just like, wahoo, we did it. I don't think I actually did anything, but we did it. Wahoo.
Yeah.
And then he gets pulled into the whole rush of everything. And Coach Quigley comes up, gives a speech about how they're gonna win the whole thing. Clark and you just stay silent, and we don't get just a shot of Jason looking disappointed. We get a shot of Martha looking disappointed.
Mm-hmm. Which is like it's like kind of like because it's like him relishing in getting like something that he shouldn't because of his powers, kind of a thing. Where it's like that disappointment look. It's like, oh, you're better than this kind of thing. And then our next scene is like
the Me Too moment of the episode.
Yeah, it's so wonky.
Does it count if the person you have to do the whole separation of actor?
Yes. It's for the character, yes. So it happens again to Chloe all the time. Didn't it just happen like an episode or 2 episodes ago with the Gatorade, the spiked Gatorade?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Mikhail goes to the Torch's office and he talks to Chloe, and she's got tons of shopping bags, and he's like, oh, that you're having so much fun, you should stop the article. And she's like, no, it's actually just getting better and better. And then
she mentions before when she first places the first bet and he gives her the money, he asks her what she's going to use it for, and she says college fund or textbooks, as her dad is on unemployment, and it put a serious dent in her college fund. Cut to this where she's coming in with like swag bags full of who knows what, and she's like, I took a dip and put the rest away for saving.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is like his mentality is that like, oh, if I give her a taste of winning big, then she'll become a client rather than this kind of whistleblower. But it's
I think what he's hoping is she'll get in over her head, like she'll
blackmail her.
Yeah,
but she's also she works for a high school newspaper in Smallville, Kansas. Like, really? And then, so this is where it kind of turns into the thing, which is he kind of pulls her in and he uses his power to force her to kiss him. And then he tells her she will stop the article, and Chloe's just like, what the shit just happened? Because at least in this version, she's kind of conscious of that she's out of control. as opposed to the other time she's been this way.
Where she's practically on something.
Yeah, she's like zombied out. So from this, Clark is in the barn. He's practicing throwing.
He literally has a lineup of
like the tires. Yeah.
No, he has a lineup of footballs. To like he throws one through, and you just see a lineup of at least I think 3 footballs.
Oh yeah. He has them like on a rack or something, right?
He just has them like lined up. It's just a funny little thing that I just noticed.
And then he takes out a piece of kryptonite and like closes it in his fist, and then he tries again.
We did not. There's something I wish we got in that scene. The special effect.
Oh, with the hand thing, yeah,
with the veins.
Yeah, I do think. Have you finished watching the season of Supergirl?
I'm on. I think.
Okay, if you haven't watched like the last episode or two, I think it's actually like the last episode, like one of the last episodes. She remarks about something with kryptonite that I think is like a really interesting idea that I would love to see people do more often. And maybe that, like, if they would have explained this here, it would have wiped that away, the green vein thing. So since you haven't watched it, I won't spoil it.
Yeah, I'm about 6 or 7 episodes away from the finale.
Okay. But like, yeah, he misses throwing the ball. Martha's like, "Oh, I've never seen you miss." And
she does the whole "what's in your hand" and or "open your hand." She sees kryptonite. She freaks out, saying that
he shouldn't make himself sick just so he can play.
And he says that he should because like he says other people play injured, so why shouldn't he be like? Technically, he is competing at an advantage that, or everyone else is competing at a disadvantage because
they're human.
Yeah,
he's basically like, this will kind of help even the playing field, and she's kind of just like, no, you shouldn't do that. And she's also does confirm what he kind of said to Jonathan. It's like, no, you've literally never tripped before in your life. Which is kind of an interesting idea to put forth in the Superman mythos, is that like part of his ability is that he has like perfect coordination, I guess. Like he's never off balance. It's an interesting idea.
An example, I think, was it Superman, the Christopher Reeve film, like in that early beginning part where he has that perfect timing, like missing, like running, like doesn't he jump over the train, like, or like and nails it by like a split second or something?
Oh yeah, they do that all. It's like in his version of Clark, he's like perfectly always like just getting things done. Like he's like his timing is like always like just perfect.
Which is ironic because in 2011 there was a show called Alphas.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah, remember the pilot? They were searching for the guy who was pretty much Clark, but in terms of like perfect time, yeah, he can never miss.
He was Bullseye basically.
Well, no, he had perfect coordination, like.
Oh yeah. He was like there was kind of X-Men-y show, but he had like perfect balance and coordination.
It was written by one of the writers of X3.
Yeah, and oh god, really?
Zach Penn.
Not the one that just did Phoenix, right?
No, that was the other guy.
Yeah, so like I actually really love that show and the concept it does for like the idea of like dealing with mutants. But yeah, like that character has perfect coordination and he has like perfect accuracy. They explain it really weird. It's like he can see a task and see how to get to like how to do that thing.
Yes, they have. There's 2 examples that they show in the episode. Like one is there's video of him like throwing a perfect game and like or throwing consecutive perfect games in high school, and then the Professor X, if you will, of the show, has him, but it just says, "Can you ask him to get him a drink from the vending machine?" But he has him stand like 6 feet, I think 6 feet away.
Oh yeah, just like throw a quarter at it.
Yeah. Throw the quarter into the slot, and he's like, "I can't do that," and then he does it.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
What's interesting is also later on in that show they do like the reverse power, so kind of where it's like, that guy. Oh, I know we're super off topic. He can like see an objective and then figure out how to get there, where the other guy can see something and figure out how it got to that position, and thus it makes him like kind of go insane because he kind of thinks everything is a conspiracy.
are you talking about the guy who was on? I know.
I haven't seen the show in forever. I just remember he has like almost the exact same power, but it's like the reverse.
Was it the episode where it was like a sort of like a manhunt?
Yeah.
That was actually the second episode.
No, maybe no. I think it was like a season 2 episode. So I would have to look it up, but we transgress.
What was it? Was there anything like with chess in the episode?
I don't remember. I remember the guy always used a quarter though. That was like
that was the second episode of season 1.
Oh, okay.
Now back to your recording.
So we go back. Clark goes to the torch and he's reviewing the plays of the game, and Chloe comes in, and Clark is like, "Oh, she's surprised that she allowed him to stay." And she's like, "Oh, I'm just giving you the benefit of the doubt." And Clark goes like, "Yeah, during this play, like I felt like I couldn't control my legs. Like it was really weird." And she's like, "Yeah, well, Mikhail forced me to kiss him." And he's just like, "Wait, what?" Yeah, and he's like, "What do you mean forced?" And it's like, "No, it's like I couldn't control what I was doing."
Yeah, and then they go on to Google.
Yeah,
and put in Proto Google, and they search for they put in his name or just his last name. Nothing. And it says,
"Did you mean?"
Huh?
Doesn't it say like the "Did you mean"?
Oh, yeah, it says, "Did you mean like his name backwards?" And it brings up something about
like a cursed family in like Eastern European villages.
No, it was a cursed village, and like a powerful bloodline that they were blessed with luck, and like this caused a village to burn down, or the village to burn down, and the only thing that stopped them was like a plague of locusts. And Clark says, "It looks like that's what Mikhail was escaping from." And then they suggest, or they talk about, like, or Clark brings up, since he's on a I was about to say Eurocorp. Since he's on a Corp,
foreign exchange kind of thing.
Yeah,
scholarship to like go and talk to him.
Yeah, he go and
opens the door to a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he goes to Lex and like Lex is like, "Why don't you go to Coach D?" And Lex says, he basically just says how it must be difficult seeing Lana with Jason. And Clark says, Lana has never been this serious about anyone before, so he's just dealing with it the best he can. And then and Lex says perfectly, "Do whatever it takes, both on and off the field."
Yep, to win. Yeah, it's a good little scene, but it sets up like a whole bunch of other stuff, because now it's like Lex kind of has some idea of what Mikhail's powers are, and then it also kind of sets up what will come to happen between Jason and Lana.
Yeah.
So we cut to Jason talking to Lana, and he's like, "Do you think Clark is using drugs?" And Lana's like, "Wait, what? Clark Kent using drugs?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't think so either. But like, he basically is like, yeah, Coach Quigley asked for a drug test. I faked. He's like, I faked it because I didn't want Clark to retaliate, which is an interesting thing to put in there. Which Lana's like, oh, he wouldn't do that, but he's like, you don't know.
Yeah, and Lana brings up that or Jason brings up he doesn't want to lose her. Lana mentions that Clark was the reason that she left and went to Paris. And Jason says something along the lines of, that's the last thing you want to hear. Not something you want to hear from your ex or about your girlfriend's ex.
Yeah, because then their feelings are so strong that's the reason.
Yeah.
And now we jump to
Lex and Mikhail.
Yeah, so Lex is like, yeah, I'm going to have you deported. And then he uses his ability on him. And Lex is basically like, how can you do that? And he's like, and he basically says, I'll make you a bet. If the Crows lose,
Mikhail you pay me $1 million and you give me Grammy citizenship.
And if they win, that I'll tell you everything about my powers. So Mikhail goes and visits Clark. He knows Clark turned him in to Lex. And he's like, I have a lot of money riding on this game. And he says,
and Clark just is doing his best, choking.
Yeah, he's force choking him without actually doing anything with his hands. So Clark's kind of passing out. Mikhail tells him that he will play and he'll lose the game. He won't tell anyone else about him, or else people will get hurt. And Clark's can't breathe until
no, he doesn't say that. He just said he's going. He walks down to the midway point in the loft, and he just turns around and said, "Oh, breathe."
Yeah,
very douchey.
Yeah. So the next thing we see is Chloe goes to Clark and she's like, Lucas. And he's like, wait, what? And it's like, yeah, I think Lucas might have driven them out because they have a signal, a counter their signal and a radio stuff and blah, blah, blah. Kind of MacGuffin type thing. And basically they're like, all right, so we can play this where people can't hear it, but on the loudspeaker, and then it should counteract his abilities.
The sort of on a frequency that only he will.
Yeah, that only he can hear.
Similar to the stuff with Clark and the Stones.
Or a dog whistle. Yeah, but the Clark and the Stones thing. Then we have Clark and Jonathan talking, and Clark's like, I'm going to play. Jonathan's like, I still think you're making the wrong decision. And he's like, well, I made the decision that anytime anybody basically touches me, I'm just going to go down. And he's like,
And it says that Jonathan will never understand how much responsibility he's taking on.
Yeah, it's actually a really good conversation. He's like, do you know how I have to consciously do anything every time I give you a hug, anytime I shake someone's hand, anytime I open the door, I have to consciously control myself. And Jonathan's like, oh, I never thought about that. And it's like, yeah, I never actually get to just do anything in kind of a relaxed, nonchalant way because I would just be destroying everything.
He'd be George from Of Mice and Men.
Yeah, but it's an interesting thing to think about with the characters. Oh yeah, he would really have to he has to be gingerly with everything he does because he's so powerful.
I know I don't like to bring it up because I hate that fucking show, but it was actually a really valid argument. It was from Big Bang Theory. They were talking about one of the characters was talking about him, Superman 78, when Superman catches Lois Lane when she's falling when she falls from the helicopter, and how one group says, or two people say that it's four or five people, two say that she would be fine. One character says that she'd be cut up, she'd be sliced up into 3 chunks.
Or from falling through his arms,
no, basically falling.
She would hit his arms and then break into 3 chunks
because of how his strength.
Yeah.
And it's something they don't really have they brought up in the comics.
I think very lightly, like at certain times. I think it comes up more when they have him with his son, like with Jonathan Kent, with like having to like kind of do stuff like consciously.
I mean, I remember when I think it was either Man of Steel or Batman v Superman, they were having that razor commercial or that razor spot where they would say, "How does Superman shave?"
Yeah, and it's like I think there's like only two versions of people that have actually come up with the reasons.
I know. Well, one was
One
from
is the Kevin Smith one, which is I can't remember which one it is because one is like he uses his heat vision to bounce it off of a mirror.
yeah, that was in I think John Burns stuff with him.
Yeah, and I think the Kevin Smith one was that like he broke off a piece of his ship and like fashioned it into a razor to shave.
Which I don't think he could. That's just
It makes sense conceptually. It's like, oh, it's from his own planet, so it's a Kryptonian metal, which you've seen in this show does cut him and injure him.
well.
It's just the goofiness of like breaking off a piece of the ship. But again, like, how did his parents ever cut his hair when he was a kid? I guess he can like hold kryptonite and then get it done.
Well, all they knew with that, like when he was younger, was like, oh, he just really got sick around it.
Yeah. But it's a thing that people just kind of like write off and don't really address because it's kind of the monotony of the character.
I would love to see a
like a day in the life of like
no. I would love to see an issue of Superman or Action Comics. I mean, it would sell horribly, but it'd just be
like all of the annoying things that he has to go through to like because he's a Kryptonian on Earth.
No,
so,
a barbershop dealing exclusively for Kryptonians on Earth because
there's only like 3 of them.
No,
I guess.
I mean, like there's the period where during not last summer, the return of Krypton or something Kryptonian returns. It was when like it was the sort of like the group storyline with Action, Supergirl, Superman, where like Mon-El took over as Superman.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess there's some of it. As long as they're good guys, they can just go to the fortress and have like Calix do it.
So Kyle's just now a barber?
Yeah, like what else does he do? He's basically like a butler and a maid too. Like his job is just to maintain it. If he's just like, hey, Calix, I need a little off the sides. Like, I'm assuming that that's one of his duties.
Speaking of Calix, I know it's off topic, but well, sort of, since even though it's the same Earth or same multiverse. I love his like I've been watching some of this stuff with Calix and Brainiac 5.
Oh, and Supergirl?
That's so good.
Yeah. To get back to this show, this kind of shows you how good these episodes are, is that we've gone super off topic. But Chloe goes to the game and she rewires the loudspeakers, plays the frequency. Mikhail's covering his ears. No one else is paying attention. The crows pull ahead. Mikhail's like, what the shit is going on?
Yeah, he's trying.
Right?
He touches his ear, and he notices blood. Yeah, he notices like there's blood coming. Like they don't go into in depth on it because of it's
everything gets sold here so quickly.
Yeah, like he tries saying like trip, and
yeah, his powers are not working.
And he finds Chloe, and I think she does. Is it him that pulls the knife, and they cut away?
Yeah, he pulls a knife. They cut away, and then they show like Clark is looking on the sideline. They're down by a touchdown, and he's holding Chloe's press pass. So Clark X-rays and sees that she's tied up He's in the back, and she's tied up with a knife to her throat. Or Mikhail has a knife to her throat.
And this is actually one of the best. I really like the sequence.
Oh, because he uses flash time, but Clark time.
Yeah, this is actually one of the few season 4 stuff that actually made it into the flashback stuff in the finale.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, how his trials, his time in Smallville was actually his trials to become Superman.
Yep. So yeah, he throws a pass, then super speeds off of the field fast enough where he shoves Mikhail into a locker, cuts Chloe loose,
and goes back and gets tackled.
And nobody notices that he even left. So the pass is caught. The Crows win the state championship, and Mikhail is like knocked down. And Chloe's like, "What just happened?" But I do think this is also the beginning to Chloe being like, "All right, there's definitely something going on with Clark. Like more than like, oh, there's a secret." I think this is the beginning to her kind of like figuring out that like he's doing all this stuff.
Oh, we forgot a big part of before this. We get a nice of the times music from Green Day, Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
Oh god, yeah.
Where it's just, I'm like, is everyone else just on the field waiting for him?
Yeah, I guess.
Because of how slowly he's taking, like how he's taking his time putting on each individual thing.
Mm-hmm. And then he's by himself in the locker room.
And then it cuts to like everyone else coming in, like it's just like everyone else, like during that moment, it's like sort of like Clark time, because once he comes out, everyone's like, it's like it took a minute or less, and Jonathan's there saying that he and Jonathan talk about like they have sort of a very like them discussion, and Jonathan says, "You sound a lot like your father right now," and they sort of reconcile. And then when I like the whole Uncle Sam, like
playing with like the Sam Lane.
No, I just like the whole like Chloe's bit where she says,
"Oh, like her ties are mysteriously untied," and she's like, "Oh, I wonder how that happened." Because I feel like it's like really soon that she like finds everything out. I think it's this season, right?
Yeah, and she also talks, like she mentions that, like, gotta thank good old Uncle Sam, and she says, and then she clarifies, like, oh no, not that Uncle Sam, my Uncle Sam, Sam Lane.
Yeah,
and like that turns out it was like a jammer for stealth bombers.
Mm-hmm. So we cut to what will play huge in the seasons to come, which is Lex is taking Mikhail to Luthor Corp. They ride in the elevator and it stops on an in-between level. And Mikhail's like, well, I lost my abilities. And Lex is like, don't worry about it. Where you're going, like, we can probably fix that and you won't be alone. And then we see it stops at level 33.1.
Yeah, the actual line, like, where it's not said here, is, I think it's... if there's one thing I've learned, it's that anything lost can be found again.
Mm-hmm. I guess referring to his memories.
Yeah, it's like Mikhail says, "I told you, Mr. Luthor, I lost my talent."
Yeah,
and then we get another line of, "If you know I had a special talent, why didn't you bet against me?" I didn't. Lex says I didn't. I bet on Clark Kent.
Mm-hmm. So we cut to the school, and Clark's like, hey, Lana, where's Jason? I want to thank him because I'm getting a scholarship to Metropolis U. I really want to thank him. And Lana's like, what do you mean? Like, you're like, she's like really pissy at him. It's like, Jason got fired this morning. And she's like, woof, 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 and walks away. And Clark's like,
she was so close to slapping him across the face.
Yeah, Clark's like, wait, what? And then I was like, and then he's basically, wait. You think I'm the one that revealed everything? And then he goes and he confronts Lex, and Lex is like, dude, their relationship was completely inappropriate. He's a teacher and she's a student. And she's under 18. Does he say under 18? I think he just says the student teacher thing. Because I don't believe he makes the comment about her being a minor.
No, he says a student teacher relationship is taboo. And like the whole moral thing. And he also says when Clark comes in, like, am I now taking the role of untrustworthy friend? Man, if they say what you want about Welling, say what you want about Schneider, O'Toole, Lex Rosenbaum is the backbone of this show.
Oh yeah, well, it shows when like he leaves the show what happened.
How season 8, or as I've mentioned, how season 8 is very unwatchable.
Yeah, the last couple seasons are not great. I mean, we'll get to them.
Season 10, though. I mean, obviously because he returns last season.
Yeah. So yeah, this episode is pretty good. It lays some groundwork. The last thing before is that Clark kind of also hints at like, you didn't do this for her. Everyone's talking about Lana in town. It's like really hurting her. And he's like, I feel like he's almost saying you didn't even do this for me, did you? Like, this is kind of the beginning of the idea where like
Lex is interested in Lana.
Yeah. And also doesn't like Jason as well. Because he has like a weird thing with Jason, which then this whole thing puts into like a weird spin into that whole terrible like other plot, as we will see unfold in the next episode that we're covering in a second. So overall, I would give this episode like a C+. It's a watchable episode. It's not super interesting. It has allusions to stuff that will affect several seasons from now. It's whatever though. It's like kind of a whatever thing. Everybody's in it's doing fine. Like no one's horrible except for Euro-trash. I feel like that's not even him. It's like the character they gave him. So, did you have any final thoughts before we moved on to the next episode?
If I had to grade this or rate it, I'd probably rate it a 2 out of 10.
Oh wow! So that's like a D plus, like a D minus.
Yeah, I mean, next episode is an F.
Oh yeah, the next episode is trash garbage. So yeah, I feel like there's not really much to say about this, which is why we went off topic so many times, which we have to curb for this next one. So, so the second episode is Spell, which is basically they do a bunch of roundabout setup to give us a Charmed episode with Superman. So
which ironically is written by the writer of Run.
Yes, and then so we start off with this goofy flashback
to 1604
with the Countess Margaret Isabel Thoreau and her two sidekicks, Madeline Hibbins and Brianna Withridge. They're about to be burned at the stake after practicing witchcraft. The leader, Isabel, is approached by
Wilkins,
and is like, are you here to enjoy your handwork? And he's like, slaps her in the face and is basically like, you can't escape the fires this time. And she tells them where the 3 stones of power are. We'll let you go. And she's like, ask for her spell book, and she'll tell them. And then when they like kind of show it to her, she spits blood onto it, onto an illustration that has the tattoo. That's Lana's tramp stamp. And then she says something in Latin, and a identical tattoo appears on her back because, of course, she's wearing something that shows her back. And then the 3 witches are burned, and she curses the crowd and vows to rise again. And then vengeance,
vengeance and the stones will be hers.
Which all comes to pass in terrible, terrible, really written ways. So
I would rather watch the prologue to Fellowship of the Ring, or the flashback, like setting up the giant like last battle of men, elves.
Like that initial like 15-minute thing.
Oh no, that initial like 5-minute thing. I'd rather watch that on a loop than this episode, where it's just, and not even the part where Sauron gets his. Just the part where it was, what's her face just narrating, like giving the lore or giving exposition. Kate Blanchett. So we open up the episode with Lana and Jason sitting there by the fire in the apartment in the Talon, and she shows him a spellbook belonging to the Countess Toro, saying she maxed out her credit card to buy it on eBay back when eBay was still new. When Lana touches the page that's stained with Isabel's blood from 1604, the fire roars up and her eyes shine violet and gets possessed by Isabel. And when Jason asks if Lana's alright, she says, "Oh, I've never been better."
All right. Which part were you just talking about? Since I had my computer just.
I basically just covered the opening to the episode, or no, where we were, like.
Okay.
Like post flashback.
Yeah. So my computer died again, but we're gonna keep it going. So yeah, after she says she's never been better, Lois pulls up to the barn. She has a bunch of decorations for a party, and basically it's for Chloe's surprise birthday party. I'm guessing it's her 18th birthday.
Yeah, which there's actually a continuity error.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The first episode of the season, it said that she was 18. Like from the age, like the date of birth to date of death is 18 years.
That's funny.
So yeah, how did they get how did they? I'm just saying
that's just like a very small thing, but yeah, that's a dumb misstep.
Well,
what's funny though is that like Clark's like, oh, I have there's a guy from Princeton coming to visit. Lois is like, yeah, whatever. Like the guy from Princeton,
Lois gives no fucks.
Yeah, but like, with the guy is he coming to visit for football? Like, what is he visiting for? And would Clark really go so he'd either go to Metropolis University, which is in Kansas, where they are. Princeton's in New Jersey. So, what is he trying to go? Like, I'm kind of confused at it, but
so I think I think it was just some set up one of those. Oh my!
Yeah. So Lois and Chloe show up at Lana's Talon apartment, where she's doing some weird
meth stuff.
Yeah, with chemistry, and Lois is like, "Oh, what's up with all this stuff?" She's like, "Oh, you're supposed to keep Chloe busy until we have the party set up." Alana's like, "Oh, I'm kind of doing this list," and waves Lois off.
Lanabelle.
Yeah, Lana Isabel. And then Ray's just like, I need the hair of two virgins, and looks at Lois's and ugh. And then goes and takes her own, and then she does not use Chloe's, right? It's when later on when
I think she gets them from Clark.
Clark, yeah. So she goes and walks into the Kent home to find Clark.
I just love that moment when she takes Lois's, and I just no.
Yeah, she's just like, no, that's not gonna work. And then she pulls her own. So in that moment, we learn that Lois is not a virgin and Lana is. She goes to the barn. Clark's trying to wrap a present really terribly. She offers to help him and then tries to give him a kiss. And then Clark's like, whoa, what is going on? And she's like, oh, grabs like the scissors, so the Get Rag tries to cut a piece of his hair, and the scissors break. Clark's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, I was going to make you a scrapbook, so I needed some of your hair." Clark's like, "Well, okay, you could have just asked." And then like plucks the hair and gives it to her. And then she's like, "Cool, got it. I'm out." That's the other virgin hair. I don't know. It's super goofy. And it goes back to our conversation about Clark getting a haircut. So then we cut.
See, listeners, it all comes together.
Yep. So we go back to the mansion, and Lana Bell is seeing Lex practicing the piano, and she asks if he has any vintage wine for the party. And Lex is like, "Oh yeah, I got this one." And then Isabel notices the manuscript, and
I forgot about this part.
And she's like, blah blah blah, says like a spell, makes it disappear. And Lex is like, "What the shit?" And then he's like frozen. And then she's like, "It wasn't meant for you," and basically releases him and then makes him play the piano forever
till his hands bleed.
No, it's like something like to the bone or something like that. She says, and then we leave there. But it's really ridiculous. I mean, Lex is like, "What the hell is going on?"
Oh no, I'm just talking about how I'm just saying what ends up happening.
Oh yes. So Chloe finds Lois and Chloe and Lois find Lana Isabel in the woods assembling her potion, and she's like, "Oh, I'm just setting this up for your birthday. Why don't we have a toast?" And then Chloe and Lois become her two sidekicks.
Chloe becomes Madeline, and Lois becomes Brianna.
And basically, this means that Chloe gets to put her hair up in this weird thing, and then they all get to wear. I don't even know how to describe like sexy black dresses. Except Lois is in like a cat suit or something, isn't she?
Yeah, I think so.
And then Chloe has like a weird like shawl. I don't know. It's really wonky. And they're like, "Oh, let's go to the party." Or no, they're like, then they go from there. They're like, "We need to find the Stones of Powers," but and then the one they're like, "Oh, but that's what got us killed," and they're like, "Let's go to the party first, and then we can go do that." And then at the barn, Clark is like, the party's basically completely out of control already. And then they show up in a door blast open, like Witches of Eastwick. Like, it's like every cliche, like witchy, like, what was that other 90s one? The Coven? No, not the Coven. Because the Coven is the one with, what's his name? That's Winter Soldier. That's about boy witches.
Sebastian Stan?
Yeah, The Craft. It's very much like The Craft.
I've not seen that movie in a long time.
Yes. So they come in, they cast a spell, and basically it turns into like Sodom and Gomorrah. Like it just turns into like basically a full out like TVPG version of an orgy.
Yeah. And then Clark is like, "Hey, Princeton rep, want a party?"
Yeah,
come on, get in my van.
Yeah, and the guy like runs away. The day after, Clark wakes up and he's like, "What the hell happened?" Obviously, he realizes he blew the interview, and he goes to find Lex for help.
And he finds Lex, and his fingers are bloody, so he's still on the piano.
Yeah, so it's been almost 24. He's been playing for like 15 hours at least, because it was like the day before. So it's like not a full day. So maybe it's like between like 15 and 18 hours. He has been sitting there playing, which also means he's probably like soiled himself.
Didn't think of that.
Yeah, but like he's been there for like, it's at least 12 hours because it was like during the day before. Now it's the next day morning. So it's at least like 12 to 15 hours. So he literally like picks Lex up, and that's what like breaks the spell. And Lex is like, "Lana's the one who cast the spell me," and Clark's like, "Okay." And like Lex is like kind of just like broken at the moment. So Clark's like, "All right, I'm gonna go try to stop them." He finds Lana Isabel at the apartment.
Oh, best part of the episode.
Yeah.
Like it's just something I'd see in like a parody film.
Yeah. And basically, like, as he shows up, Lana Bell throws Jason out of the window. And Clark's just like, whoa. I think he catches him, right?
Yeah.
And he's just like, what the hell is going on? He goes up, he tries to burn the spell book, realizing that she's like possessed. And so he can't. Isabel leaves. Clark a message to meet him at the barn. And he meets the three witches, but he has no clue that they are in fact witches. So Clark, basically they're like, oh, he's like, and they try to use the witching powers on him. But like he's able to like fight them off because he's super strong, and they're like, oh, this is weird. And then basically they put him onto like, they use like magic telekinesis and like kind of throw him around. And basically Madeline starts throwing stuff at Clark with her magic, and he destroys them with his heat vision. Then they're like getting annoyed, and they see that Clark is a threat. So they think that he's a sorcerer or something, right?
Yeah, that's the best part.
But she basically throws like a Dragon Ball Z blast at him, but it just kind of hurts and throws him and like kind of knocks him out. And the next thing they do is they rip off his shirt, although they pin him to the ground and rip off his shirt.
The shot of it looks very suggestive.
Yes. So like, yeah, Chloe and Lois are holding each of his arms, and Lana's like in between his legs, and they rip open his shirt, and she drains his abilities.
I bet she does. Yes.
So they chain up Clark to a post in the barn, and they try to get more information about the stones out of him, knowing that he's realizing that he's connected to them. Isabel magically seduces the answer out of him, and they basically leave Clark chained up and depart for the Kawachi Caves. Jason finds Clark and is like, holy shit, and basically helps him out, and they go after them. They go to the caves. Isabel, she tries to open, I'm trying to remember, she tries to open the doorway and get the one that Clark had got in the first episode, but she can't.
I forgot which one.
It's the air one, I think, right?
Yeah.
Hers is the fire, and the water one is the one
from
Transference. The Transference, yeah. So it's the air one. It glows and it burns her hand, so she can't hold it.
Clark shows up, and he does
what he always does. He like super speeds and like catches it before it hits the ground. Well, no, he doesn't. He can't super speed, but he dives and catches it, gets his powers back. Before they can take his powers again, Clark heat visions the spell book, and all four of them are knocked unconscious. Where's Jason during all this? I don't remember. He just doesn't go with him.
Plot.
Yeah, he just like isn't there. So they wake up. Everybody's like normal. And they're like, so what just happened? And everyone's just confused.
And then the best part of the episode is Clark having to explain what happened to Jonathan and Martha.
With the Princeton thing, and they're like, yeah, but like it was like really magic, and it hurt me. And that's like the only thing that kind of gets him out of trouble. And they're like, wait, what? It hurt you? And he's like, yeah, I guess magic can hurt me. They're like, real magic. And he's like, yeah, like real magic. So Lana goes to the town apartment and basically, or Clark goes there, or no, Lex goes to the apartment, and it's like, yeah, it wasn't Clark that got Jason fired, it was me. And she's like, you had no right, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I only had your best interest in mind. Like, you barely know Jason. He's much older than you. You're like, it's not right for an older person to do this to somebody that's more immature. And then I think she kind of throws out, is it that he's a more mature person, or he's not the right mature person?
I think it's that one.
Yeah, I think she kind of throws that out at him, and he's just like
again sparking the or setting up stuff for season 5 and 6.
Yep.
And actually no, 5, 6, and 7.
Mm-hmm. So Lana goes to the barn to apologize to Clark, and he's cleaning up the barn, and she tells him the whole story about the Countess and the tattoo.
And she's like, Clark, do you know what this means? And he's like, no.
No.
Go away.
He's like, no, but I think he says no, but like, I like anything you need, like, I'm your friend, I'll help you. And then we cut to the final scene, which is Lex doing the flashlight to the cave where he sees the same tattoo on the wall, like the same symbol. And then that is this episode. And even with us, even with my computer crashing, we plowed through it because it is such a bad episode. It is just, it's bad. It's gross. It's probably the second horniest episode, if not the horniest in all of the series. I'm trying to remember, was it the Nicodemus one with the pool scene in season 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that and this are like the top level of like horny Smallville episodes, but like you can kind of extrapolate. It's like if they had that like party, did they all just have did they actually all have like a big group orgy? Like I feel like you can say that probably happened, right?
I don't know.
Because like, I don't know, they're all like kind of just laying on the floor and like kind of writhing and all sorts of weirdness. But again, this is like all set up for the stupid story that's going to continue. And at this point, it kind of starts to take over the main plot. We don't really revisit this story that much until... no, we revisit a bit in the next episode, but it really doesn't come into the forefront until like 5 or 6 episodes from now. Like once we pass the halfway point, when they go to China. Because yes, they go to China. This is definitely like an F episode. Like it's, to watch the clips, it's funny, but it is like such of its time. It's a ripoff of like everything that was going on in like the late 90s, 2000s. So you have your Charmed, you have Roswell, The Craft, Hocus Pocus. Like any time where it's the like witches coven of 3 that are kind of resurrected. It's just,
there's actually something that could have said like that if it was stayed in and could have helped a little bit. It's the deleted scene. It's basically like Clark's gift to Chloe, the same type of typewriter used by Nellie Bly.
oh.
It would have been nice to, like tying back to the second episode of this season.
Yeah, it would have been interesting. And it is funny that, like, I guess they directly referenced Charmed because Charmed was another show on the same network. So, but it's like they dress, like the way they do their hair is all the same. Like Chloe's kind of wearing her hair exactly like Alyssa Milano does. And yeah, it's just goofy. Our next pair of episodes are way better. Which is Bound and Scare. So Bound, which has a Before They Were Famous, guest stars Chloe Smulders in a very small role in the episode. And we get a little bit more of the side plot where we get to introduce to Jason's mom.
Who was played by a former Bond girl.
And isn't she Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman?
I think so.
Yeah, that's like her main, I think, famous thing, which is Jane Seymour.
Yeah.
Who's been around for a while and done like a bunch of stuff, and she's a terrible character in this too.
Like, she's a great actress, but she
gets nothing to work with.
Yeah.
The only time where she has good scenes is when she's with Lionel, and their scenes are very good and playful.
Yeah, because
they can be, because they're good.
Well, not that. They're if you look at it in the lens of like canon of the show, they're the only 2 members of like the only like of the original
oh yeah, the Traveler thing.
Veritas.
Yeah.
project, like because Oliver's parents were killed. Swan.
Swan and what's her name are dead.
Yeah, so it's just that it's basically them and their kids.
Yep.
Oh wait, no, I forgot. It's something that's just waited, that just shows up at the end of the season or near the end of the season, but Swan's daughter.
Oh yes. And so our second episode that we'll do next week is Scare, which kind of is Luthor Corp released a Scarecrow level pure toxin into the entire town by accident. And it is actually really interesting. And we get to see kind of a bunch of really cool stuff and allusions to stuff in the future. And the kind of the Lionel story kind of picks up from here. So we once again, our roller coaster of season 4 was way like hit the earth and crashed, but is now kind of going back up, clicking itself back up to these good episodes. I'm trying to remember, like the next 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we have like the next like 6 episodes are all pretty good. It's not until we go to China that we hit like a rock bottom again.
Well,
or we get some like pretty sweet wire work with like Chloe or with Lana in like Chinese garb. This is basically her reel that got her to play Chun-Li. But then it's like that really bad episode, and then we get a bunch of really good episodes again. Yeah, we only really have like 1 really bad episode left, maybe 2. Because Spirit is really not that great either. That's the one with the ghost, the kryptonite ghost.
No.
That's basically like instead of dead man, it's like dead woman, but it's basically Legally Blonde. But yeah, so we've kind of gone through most of the bad episodes at this point, and only on to the good. So that just about does it for this week. And so don't forget to check out the other shows. So every Thursday we have Now Comics, and we have the Prime Phantom Zone show, which I think the next thing is a review of Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire one. And then obviously this show. And then Legion of Toon should be coming out soon. That's on loshorror.wordpress.com, along with Los Horror Games, which you guys have a gigantic plethora of stuff soon to be coming because of E3.
Yeah, we've got by the time this comes out, I think Microsoft Bethesda, that will have already been taken care of. We're basically covering most of we're going to be doing EA Play will be hopefully covered on Saturday. Microsoft Bethesda Sunday, and Devolver from 4 to 10. It's the Microsoft Bethesda Devolver, and then Ubisoft on Monday, and then Square Enix and Nintendo, and then on Tuesday Nintendo Direct. So it's going to be a crap ton of writing.
Yep. So go there, Los Haro, check out that and all the other podcasts and all the other articles. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe to everything, hit that little bell on the YouTube, leave a review, and tell your friends, tell your family.
Tell your grandma. Yeah,
just take her phone and subscribe on iTunes. She won't even know.
I mean, we're not telling you to do what Soupy Sales told you to do and take money from your parents and buy stuff, like send us money.
Yep.
We're just telling you to just hit some buttons.
Yeah, it won't cost anybody any money. Alright, so we will catch you guys next time. I'm Lou Gonzalez.
And I'm Alan Muir, and this
Podcast is the truth. This is American Life.